Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Today, I have a very special guest with me. After I learned who was joining me, I really started to do some more research, and I am just mind blown by this gentleman. So I'm really excited to have him on the podcast today. He is an award-winning entrepreneur. He's the founder and CEO of Revolancer. It's a VC-backed freelancing marketplace that connects businesses with vetted freelancers. He started his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 13 and has sold his first business at the age of 15. He's the youngest ever brand ambassador in Europe's largest business conference, the Business Show, and emerged as a keynote speaker. He has also been featured in prestigious new publications as recognized as one of the top CEOs in the freelancing space. He is joining us today to share his story with us, his insights, and his tips on how to start and grow a successful business in the freelancing industry. Karl, welcome to the show. I'm so thankful and glad that you're here to join me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so the big question is, 13? Talk to me about this beginning of your transformational life. Like, this had to be the stepping point for you into your success. So what was your business at 13?
Yeah, sure. So, well, for a very long time, I've known that I want to be an entrepreneur and that would be the most fulfilling professional journey for me. 13 is when I started to really take it seriously and, I started trying to make money online. I started out freelancing actually. So I sold like graphic design and web development services on big freelancing marketplaces at the time. And then quite quickly found a lot of issues with them that a lot of freelancers were facing. So I decided to start my own platform and see if I could solve some of those issues. But unfortunately, after running it for, I want to say about half a year, I had to sell it because I was too young to have a PayPal account and they kept on locking me out.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. I can see that, but their loss, right? At this point.
Well.
Wow. Okay. And so you were doing freelancing work at 13?
I was, yes.
What were you doing? Like, I don't even know. I think I was like riding the bus at 13. I have no idea what I was doing at 13. Definitely not something as important as this.
Well, when I was very sure that I wanted to kind of go the entrepreneurial path, at 13 is when I had this kind of realization that there are many, many people who are far older than what I was at that time and am today, with much more experience, who are much smarter people with much better connections and everything, who still struggle working for themselves. So I thought the best thing for me to do is to try and get ahead of the curve and start when I'm still living with my parents, at 13, and don't have those kind of obligations that might make it much more difficult for someone who's, say, 30 to drop what they're doing and kind of start their entrepreneurial journey. So that's why I started then. And I started by just selling web development and graphic design services. I started with graphic design and then quite soon went into web development. I'm completely self-taught at that point in both of those areas.
Self-taught by 13 to do graphic design. Are you like that one of those genius kids? Is that
Well, I wouldn't say I was very good at it. I wasn't charging a lot. I guess, my clients got what they paid for the not.
There you go.
Yeah, I got a lot of good experience.
Oh, that just made my day. Like, that was a belly laugh. Okay, so there had to be a starting point that made you choose to have an entrepreneurial journey. Like, were you influenced by somebody? Were you just sick of listening to somebody else doing something you wanted to do? Like, what was your trigger point?
My parents are both academics. They don't and have never done anything very entrepreneurial. So I wasn't really exposed to it in that way, which I know a lot of people are. But I kind of always knew that that wouldn't be the kind of route that I would want to do, that would work for me. And I always really enjoy kind of analyzing things, thinking about things creatively, creating things, bringing people together and inspiring them. And I wanted to make a big difference, like do something very impressive on a big scale that helps a lot of people. And that's something that I realized at quite a young age, and thought that entrepreneurship is the best way to achieve those goals.
At 13 years old, you did not let limiting beliefs stop you from achieving your dreams. I mean, that is a mind power of somebody who has to go through like training and, you know what I mean? A lot of us, it takes a while for us to just let go of any limiting beliefs. And at 13, you were just like, there's nothing I can't do. Like, that's what I'm getting from this. That's the vibe I'm feeling.
For me, it was much easier to do that at 13 because, I kind of thought, oh, I know how to use Photoshop in a really basic way. I can design a logo that looks better than, a lot of small businesses' logos. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can do this. So, what I'm trying to say is like my not having those limited beliefs came out of arrogance and ignorance more than anything else at that point. And I think being 13 makes it much easier to think in that way.
Okay. Now I like you even more because you were just a normal 13-year-old boy who was figuring out a way to get paid and start his own business. It wasn't like this savant thing that you did. It was just, hey, I felt like doing this and now I'm just killing it. Is that kind of what you would say?
I mean, I'm very proud of what I've been able to achieve, but I think there's still a lot more to do.
Oh, you're cool. Okay. So talk to me about Revolancer. What is this? I mean, I understand the vision behind it. I understand the freelancing. I do have some questions. So why don't you kind of just explain what this business is?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, our goal with Revolancer, and this is my personal goal as well, is to change the freelancing industry for the better and forever, and to enable people to fire their boss and hire themselves. That's kind of our line. And a lot of freelancing platforms that have existed for the past 15 to 20 years, very big platforms, just aren't serving modern freelancers right. And 71% of Gen Z either already are or want to go into freelancing. Yeah. A third of the global workforce today are freelancers. That's 1.5 billion people, more than that actually. And the current solutions just aren't serving that market right. So, I became very much aware personally from experiencing a lot of these other platforms and speaking to lots of other people who did too, to running a small one in the past to now, I know what the problems are. I know how to solve them. And that's what we're doing with Revolancer. And I think we're already doing a pretty good job of it because we're growing quite fast at the moment. We have well over 100,000 users now and counting. I believe we'll have more than 1 million users within the next year, especially at our current growth rate. We absolutely will. So yeah, just looking to make a positive difference to the space.
So how does the program work? Because I'm thinking back, like I use Fiverr, right? It's like I would pay for, people would bid on, what I need, right? So that's what is in my head, but this is nothing like that, isn't it?
It's quite different. So, the way a platform like Fiverr, and the same thing is true for most other large freelancing platforms, the way they work is they connect freelancers and clients. That's basically all they do. And they take a commission fee. So they, and in the case of Fiverr, it's a pretty big one. It's 20% of the freelancer's earnings and 5% on top of what the client is paying from the client. So in other words, you're paying $105 and the freelancer's getting 80, and Fiverr's getting 25. Oh. So what that means is if you're paying $105 and you're getting $80 worth of work, you're probably not going to be happy. So where exactly is that difference going to be made? The freelancer will probably have to compromise on their rate. But okay. The even bigger problem with that model is that if you charge a commission fee, what that means is you have to make sure people can't bypass it, right? Because otherwise you're not making money. So you have to stop people from video calling or exchanging email addresses or talking on the phone and all of this stuff. So it's also very hard for clients to properly communicate their brief to freelancers and to really integrate the freelancers into their kind of, workflow. So those are some big problems that we solve by not charging commission fees and allowing people to speak off platforms, to put it simply. But we do a lot more than that, We allow freelancers to network with one another, to collaborate, to exchange skills and services, to post their portfolios and case studies, to follow other freelancers and get inspired by their work. And then of course also to connect with clients.
Your website's beautiful, by the way.
I can't take credit for that. we have a really good head of product, Eva, who is responsible for our design. I think if I made it, it would be a lot worse. In fact, I made our first ever version, and that was not great.
This is really interesting. I think you're helping people in a world of, this world has changed, and the world of business has changed. I didn't realize it changed that much, that many freelancers were out in the world, but you're finding a solution for their needs. And I think that's freaking awesome. Like, go, Karl.
Well, thank you.
Oh, it's amazing. Also, I'm reading, you went to university, right? Is that what I'm reading here? So it sounds like you didn't necessarily have to at that point, right? You had your businesses going. Am I right on the timeline there?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, for a long time, for as long as I can remember, pretty much, I always procrastinated from school and university and, focused on my real passion, which is, on online business. And then at one point, shortly after graduating, suddenly that became my real kind of full-time gig. So yeah, it's been a really exciting journey.
So how do you ensure the quality and reliability of the freelancers that are on your platform?
Yeah, so that's a very important thing. So, we vet people, we ask people to provide a lot of information, a lot of which is displayed publicly so other people can make their own decisions.
Okay.
People can publish reviews, so you can judge them based on that. So yeah, we basically vet people and put all of the information there so that you can make your own decision on who you want to work with. But also, we let you video call with people, and if you video call with someone, you can probably get a pretty good idea of whether they're the right fit, certainly more so than just by, writing sort of text messages back and forth.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. If you find that there's somebody on your site that's not getting good reviews, like, how do you manage that?
So we recommend, and sort of prioritize people in the feed who have consistently good reviews and who people have good interactions with.
Okay. Just like Google, right?
I suppose so, yeah.
And I guess the reason I'm asking these questions is a lot of people don't realize all that goes into creating systems like these, right? Especially automated systems or everything on the back end, right? So I have a development team. We do a lot of pharmaceutical companies, back end portal development like stuff. And people don't realize you literally have to think if A, then B. It's this drawings, when you draw out your vision, it's intense. So, a lot of people don't realize how much goes into what you're creating. And I guess I'm just trying to share it a little bit. What are some of the benefits and features that make Revolancer different from other freelancing markets? We kind of talked about this already, but
yeah. So, we don't charge commission fees. We let people talk off platform. Sounds kind of a bit insane to even have to mention that, but we're one of very few and probably the largest freelancing platform at the moment that actually does those two things.
The video calling?
Yeah, just allowing people to speak outside the platform at all, which includes video calling. So that's a big part of it. But then also we have a skills and service exchange. That's something that other freelancing platforms don't do. We have sort of a curated jobs board of freelancing opportunities from around the web that's highly tailored to each individual freelancers. Again, that's something other platforms don't do. So yeah, they sound like very obvious things, but for some reason, well, I kind of know the reason, but it just hasn't really been done before.
Well, it's, obvious so that you could do it. You figured this out, and I am just so highly impressed. How do you plan to grow and scale this business, Revolancer? I can see it in my head, but what's your vision?
Well, we're in a place where we're growing very fast at the moment. From when we launched, it took us 6 months to get to 1,000 users. In the past 24 hours, we got more than 4,000 signups. So, we're definitely growing pretty fast. And really, the main thing is just being very much in touch with the freelancers who are using the platform and really understanding their needs and then building for that. So our whole roadmap is guided by conversations that we have with multiple freelancers every single day. And that way we're building a platform that really, fills their needs. And then naturally, that's something they're going to talk about with other freelancers, share, discuss on social media, everything like that. And then ultimately that's, then we do other like paid marketing on top of that, but that's really at the foundation. And that's sort of a self-growing flywheel, essentially.
So you are pretty much doing like case studies or, getting feedback from those who are on the site already and communicating with them directly from your team to gather data to make it even better. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a few different ways of collecting feedback, but one of the main ones is, we've got a great product team who calls with multiple freelancers from the platform every single day, and kind of just feedback calls and walkthroughs and so on. And we take that feedback very much on board, and our whole roadmap is very much guided by that.
That right there is what makes a successful business. Right there. And that's what makes you, better than most. Is your first objective was to make sure you were serving your clients in a way that was impacting their lives for the better. And getting on the phone and just talking with people and getting their opinions and listening to the pros and the cons with an open mind, that is where success stems from. So good job. Well, that is just exactly where you need to be, Karl. And I cannot wait to see you blow up. This is going to be cool. And I will follow you everywhere. Just remember the little people, okay? So how do you foster a culture of innovation and collaboration among your team and your freelancers?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to the team, I heard someone say once that the CEO really only has two responsibilities at, when you really go very high level. And that's number one, making sure you don't run out of money. And number two, making sure you have a good company culture. Not the only two responsibilities, but the most important responsibilities. And so from the beginning, I've tried very hard to sort of figure out how to identify the right people. I'd say I'm pretty good at it now. I've certainly made mistakes in the past, but I'd say I'm pretty good at identifying the right people now. So, a big part of it is, well, one, hiring the right people. And then the second part is to show those people that they're valued, work effectively with them and just basically let them do their best work. It's your job as the CEO, the leader in the company, to remove obstacles from their way so that they can do what they do best. So you need the people who are really good at what they do, and then you need to make sure they have everything they can to do their absolute best.
Making notes. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I truly believe that you as a employer need to have some sort of a relationship with your team. It's the same. I mean, these freelancers are your team. So, and then the team who works, with you, obviously, building your dreams and helping you, make them go into fruition. Being kind and caring about their individual needs or struggles, I think is vital to having a healthy workplace. If you have healthy, happy employees, your business will be healthy and continuously grow, and you will avoid the turnover hell. And it really all stems with kindness, in my opinion. So you seem like you're going in the right direction, young man. Yeah. I'm going to keep calling you young man now. And you're level 24, right? That's what I say. I'm level 44. I'm leveling up in the world. You get
it? Well, I read that the brain is still developing until you're 25. So I'm sure that I'm still going to change.
I have no doubt your brain will continue to develop. You seem like the type of guy who just sucks in information and finds a way to use it to make the world a better place.
Well, I'm a very curious person.
So, I geek out on different marketing tools and, analytics and all the stuff that we can do here in my industry. So what are some of the tools and processes you use to manage workflows and projects?
Yeah, so I mean, on the marketing front, we've got a head of marketing, so don't take everything I kind of say about the topic as gospel, because that's not what I'm managing. But in terms of tools and workflows, like we use Slack to communicate as a team. We use Notion, which is a really fantastic tool to just like have everything kind of organized in one place and it can be accessed remotely. So we've got a very strict kind of policy of using that and not just having lots of random Google Docs things all over the place and various other things. That's what we used to do. We used to be rather disorganized, but we're very organized on top of things now.
That's good. Yeah. You know what, though? I think you have to be disorganized to figure out how to get organized, right? You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's all about learning and growing and moving forward. So what are some of maybe the challenges and opportunities that you face as a young entrepreneur?
I mean, I'd say, and I've said this many times before, like my biggest weakness is for the foreseeable future going to be that I just don't have many decades of industry experience. I have maybe 1 decade now, but a lot of that was while I was still a teenager. So, and the way that I combat that is by working with people and having advisors and mentors, that I work with on a regular basis to learn from their extensive experience, so that I can improve at a kind of faster pace. I'd say that's probably other than the kind of typical things that every entrepreneur struggles with. I'd say like when you look at my age specifically, that's definitely the biggest one.
You had to get a bunch of capital to create this business. I mean, was that something that you went out and worked to get, or did you have teams? And the only reason I'm thinking about it is you walking into a big boardroom. I can imagine just the limiting thoughts that are in everybody else's mind. So my question, I guess, the short of it is, how did you get past those blocks? Like, how did you overcome those barriers?
I think one of the advantages I've got is that typically people perhaps of an older generation think that, and in many cases it's true, that young people know a lot about tech. So that certainly helped. When it comes to fundraising in general, though, that's something which at the beginning I did purely by myself, and now still do mostly by myself. I have a great PA who helps me with sort of emails and various other bits, but most of the kind of fundraising strategy and investor conversations and investor relations and so on, that's all me. And that's something which I never learned at school or university or whatever. I don't even think that there are necessarily any courses that can really teach you that. But the way I approached that is by I knew nothing about fundraising, so the first thing I did is I spoke to founders who had fundraised for tech startups and then learned from them. And went from there.
Just like you learn from your freelancers what you need to do to improve. It sounds like you were just constantly learning from those who have come before you and have done that. So it's like you're not wasting any time trying to figure these things out at this point, because you have people to learn from, or you're willing to accept that knowledge. At 24, I'm assuming a lot of entrepreneurs of your status probably don't think the same way. So yeah, again, you are a strong leader. It goes along with also, having a strong team. So ultimately this business, I'm going to call it, this business is going to be the Amazon of the future for employment. I truly believe that.
Well, thank you. I certainly hope so.
If you ever build a rocket, don't invite me.
Sure.
But anything else you want to do to hang, happy. But I don't know about that whole rocket into space thing. I don't know. Maybe, Carl, you're the only one I would actually do it with. We talked about the challenges. Now, talk about the opportunities of being a young entrepreneur and, facing the obstacles of, business ownership and going through those different mazes. So what was, some of the benefits of being young?
One big thing, which, from what I've kind of heard, is that as we get older, it many people kind of become quite sort of fixed in their beliefs. And of course, that's not something that's inherent. It's absolutely something that, people can make a conscious effort to not do. But I think when you're younger and you aren't very experienced, it's easier to just, take bold risks and think, oh yeah, I could do that, because you haven't had those experiences of where it went wrong before. So I think that is something that's certainly a benefit of being, quite young and going into entrepreneurship. Just that kind of bold, foolishness, frankly. But it can, in this case, it can be very useful.
Right? You have courage. All right. So I ask everybody this. I would like to know who you feel is the most innovative entrepreneur or one that has impacted you the most.
That's a very good question. I'd say in general, the most innovative entrepreneurs are probably in a lot of cases people that aren't very well known. I think if you look at people like Elon Musk, for example, what Elon Musk is exceptionally good at is getting PR and sort of maybe not so much over the past year, but certainly before that, crafting a very specific kind of image that people kind of believe. And, and people see him as the founder of Tesla. He wasn't. People see him as a co-founder of PayPal, slightly more so, but again, not really, it wasn't that. Yeah, but this is the kind of thing, right? So, like with the PayPal thing and Elon Musk, essentially he created an online bank called X.com, and then that company merged with another company called Confinity, which was founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, I think, but definitely Peter Thiel. And Confinity already had a product called PayPal, which the kind of one-liner was to email money. And then they changed the name of the whole company to PayPal. So, was he the co-founder inventor of PayPal? Well, I mean, co-founder perhaps, so inventor, no, absolutely not. But, many people believe that he was. And that's, what he is exceptionally good at is crafting that kind of media image. And I think that, many very innovative people are, very innovative, but aren't necessarily so good at, promoting themselves, right? And crafting that kind of image. But in terms of people who have been, really had a very good influence on me, I'd say Matt Brady is a big one. He co-founded Just Eat, which was like Uber Eats before Uber Eats.
I was going to ask about that. I saw something about that on your website. What is that? Just Eat?
Yeah, so he essentially built them from a tiny company to a multi-billion dollar IPO as their marketing head. And he did a lot of, very kind of innovative and creative marketing strategies. So I've learned a lot from him. And then in terms of someone who I haven't yet spoken to, I'd say Tom Blomfeld, the founder of Monzo, which is a challenger kind of neobank in the UK. I also find to be very inspiring.
That is impressive. Yeah, I saw something about the Just Eat on your website. So it was like at Uber Eats before Uber Eats. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Oh, but I love what you said, and nobody's answered like this before, right? What I love what you said is the most innovative people are the ones that you don't know about, right?
Absolutely.
It's not the big name. This is something I feel like I should see every day. You know what I mean? Those that are most innovative are the ones you don't see. Because I'm always behind the scenes, right? And sometimes it's hard to think, am I doing anything? Am I making a difference? I'm just behind the scenes. But you know what? I am. It's on a much smaller scale. But, you kind of made me just feel like I'm a badass in your own way, unintentionally.
Well, I mean, like it's the same thing as in with job interviews. Oftentimes the people who do really well in job interviews do terrible at the work, and oftentimes the people who would be really great for the job just can't sell themselves effectively. You see that especially in tech with developers.
Yeah.
We have some very talented developers who did frankly terribly in the interview at selling themselves, but do very good work. So I try and spot people like that. It's very, very important. And, I would not say I'm the most innovative person in the company by a long shot, but look, I'm here today. I'm the one who's kind of representing the company and appearing in newspapers and on podcasts and various other things. But, there are, I wouldn't be here if there weren't many very innovative and talented and creative people working very hard on the same mission.
Yeah. We've had the same developer for 10 years, and I'm a development team with the lead developer. And if I were to actually interview him, I would be like, I don't know. He talks geek, and I don't know. And I know that's their job, but I would have been like, he just fell into my lap. We said, hey, I need a project done. He said, okay, let's do it. And from there, my life has been so much easier. I don't speak tech, you know what I mean? I don't speak that language. And to have him there, not only is he very good at coding the language, but he's good at explaining it to me so that I understand what's happening so I can explain it to others. And so I'm very fortunate, because if I would have been in a, different world at that time, I wouldn't have asked him to join my team. And now it's like, I don't want anybody else. Like I'll get developers messaging me and, hey, how are you doing? Do you need any work done? I'm like, no, I found my guy. Like he is my tech person. So it's just, you have to have people you can depend on, you can trust. And sometimes those are the people who like to sit quietly with headphones on and not interact with anybody. And sometimes they are the flamboyant, very loud and lots of hands, and people like me. We all have our own personalities. So you have to look past the mask, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great Einstein quote, that if you, everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it'll believe its whole life that thinking it's stupid. And it's very true with this. Someone could be a genius programmer, but not be able to communicate that to someone who doesn't know anything about tech. And then there are people, who could absolutely convince you, if you don't know anything about tech, that they know everything, but in reality don't know anything. So, it's different skill sets, but what you need in a great team is for people to have different strengths and to, kind of have strengths where other people have weaknesses, because that way overall you're much stronger.
Absolutely. I truly believe that I'm going to be watching you in years on the TV as somebody who has literally changed the world as we know it. So, Karl, thank you for joining me. It was such an honor to have you here. I hope we talk again. I am sure there's lots more things we can discuss. Thank you for sharing this with us. I will make sure that all of the links are in the show notes. And, I think, freelancers out there, check this out. This is something that's really going to take us all to the next level. All right, dear. Thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me.
Wow, what a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.